Here.
Ma'am, you can't park here. This is for doctors only.
This looks fake. Are you with housekeeping?
I'm the Chief of Cardiology.
The camera was already recording. Parking garage security system. 4 angles. High definition. Audio clear enough to capture every word, every assumption, every moment. That would cost St. Michael's Medical Center $2.1 million. Security guard Raymond Foster didn't know he was being recorded. He didn't know the woman he was threatening to tow was the youngest department chief in hospital history. He didn't know her face was on promotional materials throughout the building. But in about 6 minutes, he would know all of it, and it would be too late. This isn't about one security guard. This is about a system that sees credentials and still demands proof, that sees a black woman in scrubs and assumes janitor, not surgeon. Dr. Maya Okonkwo had just finished a 14-hour shift, 2 emergency surgeries, 3 consults, 1 patient death that she'd tried everything to prevent. She was exhausted, emotionally drained. She just wanted to go home. She pulled into St. Michael's employee parking garage at 11:47 p.m. Level 2, Section C, the area clearly marked with multiple signs. Physicians parking only. She'd parked in this same spot for 3 years. Reserved space. Spot number 73. Her name was literally painted on the ground. Dr. M. Okonkwo, Cardiology. But Raymond Foster had only been working at St. Michael's for 2 weeks. He was making rounds, checking parking compliance, and when he saw a young black woman in scrubs walking toward a Mercedes sedan in the physicians-only section, his training failed him completely. This is where procedure fractures. Dr. Maya Okonkwo was 34 years old, Johns Hopkins Medical School, top of her class, residency at Mass General, fellowship at Cleveland Clinic. She'd been recruited to St. Michael's 5 years ago. At 32, she'd become the youngest chief of cardiology in the hospital's 87-year history. She led a department of 19 physicians, performed over 200 procedures annually, published research, mentored residents. The hospital featured her prominently in their diversity and excellence campaigns. Her photo was on the website, in the lobby, in the physician directory, by the main entrance. But Raymond Foster hadn't looked at any of that. He'd made his decision based on something much simpler. She was young, she was black, she was in scrubs. Therefore, she couldn't possibly be a doctor. He approached quickly, deliberately, voice already carrying authority he hadn't earned. "Ma'am, you can't park here." Maya stopped, hand on her car door, turned to face him, saw the security uniform, saw the expression. She'd seen it before. Different settings, same assumption. "I'm sorry," she said, keeping her tone professional. "This section is for doctors only. You need to move your vehicle." Maya looked at him carefully, processing, calculating, deciding how to handle this. "I am a doctor," she said calmly. "This is my assigned space." She pointed at the ground, at her name painted in white letters. Foster glanced down, looked back up, didn't acknowledge what he'd seen. "I need to see identification." Maya reached for the hospital ID badge hanging around her neck, held it up. Clear plastic, full-color photo. Her name, her title, Dr. Maya Okonkwo, Chief of Cardiology. Foster took it, examined it like he was a forensic expert, turned it over, held it up to the parking garage lights. "This looks fake," he said. Maya blinked. "Excuse me? Hospital badges don't look like this. I've worked here for 5 years. That's my official hospital identification." Foster handed it back, dismissively. "Are you with housekeeping? Because housekeeping staff shouldn't be parking in physician spaces." The question hung in the air, sharp, insulting, impossible to misunderstand. Maya took a slow breath. She'd trained for years to maintain composure in high-stress situations. Saving lives required calm under pressure. But this was different. This was personal. "I'm the Chief of Cardiology," she said, her voice level but firm. "I just finished a 14-hour shift. This is my assigned parking space. My name is literally on the ground." Foster crossed his arms. "If you're really a doctor, you should have a different ID. A physician badge. This is a physician badge. It doesn't look right." Maya felt the exhaustion pressing down harder now. She could argue, she could explain, she could waste more energy on someone who'd already decided not to believe her. Or she could document this properly. "I'm going to call hospital administration," she said. "You do that. Meanwhile, I'm calling a tow truck. You have 5 minutes to move this vehicle." "You're going to tow my car from my own assigned space?" "This space is for Dr. Okonkwo. You're not her." Maya stared at him. "I'm literally standing in front of my name on the ground. My badge says Dr. Maya Okonkwo. What part of this is confusing?" Foster pulled out his radio. "Dispatch. This is Foster in Garage 2. I need a tow truck for an unauthorized vehicle in physician parking." Maya pulled out her phone, dialed the hospital's administrative line. After hours, it went to the night supervisor. "This is Dr. Okonkwo. I'm in the parking garage being threatened with towing by security. I need someone from administration here immediately." The supervisor, Patricia Vance, responded with alarm. "Dr. Okonkwo? What's happening?" "Security guard doesn't believe I'm a physician. He's called a tow truck for my assigned space. I'll be right there." 2 minutes. Maya looked at Foster. "Hospital administration is on the way." Foster shrugged. "Good. They can confirm you're not authorized. I'm the Chief of Cardiology. I authorized myself." "Sure you are." The disbelief in his tone was captured perfectly by the parking garage cameras. Every word, every dismissive gesture, every moment of discrimination playing out in high definition. Patricia Vance arrived 90 seconds later. Practically running, she saw Dr. Okonkwo, saw the security guard, saw the standoff. "Dr. Okonkwo, I'm so sorry. What's going on?" Foster turned. "Ma'am, this individual is parked in a physician-only space without proper authorization." Vance looked at him like he'd spoken a foreign language. "This is Dr. Maya Okonkwo. She's the Chief of Cardiology. This is her assigned space." Foster hesitated. "She doesn't have proper identification. She's wearing her hospital badge. I can see it from here. It looks fake." Vance walked over to Maya, looked at the badge. "This is a standard hospital physician credential. What made you think it was fake?" Foster didn't have an answer that wouldn't incriminate him further. Vance's expression hardened.
Did you check the name on the parking space?
"I saw it. And you saw. It says Dr. M. Okonkwo." "Yes. And Dr. Okonkwo showed you her badge with her name and title?" "Yes, but what? What exactly made you decide she wasn't a doctor?" The silence stretched out. Foster knew he was cornered. Every answer would expose the bias he'd acted on. "I was following protocol," he finally said. "What protocol requires you to question a physician standing in front of their own name?" "Security protocol. There's no security protocol that overrides common sense. You questioned a department chief in her assigned parking space after she showed valid ID. What part of your training covered that?" Foster's face flushed. "I didn't know she was—" "You didn't ask, you assumed, and you assumed wrong." Maya had been standing quietly, watching, processing. Now she spoke. "He asked if I was with housekeeping." Vance turned sharply. "He what?" "He asked if I was housekeeping staff. After I told him I was a doctor. After I showed him my badge." Vance looked at Foster with something approaching fury. "You asked Dr. Okonkwo if she was a janitor?" "I was trying to determine her role. Her role is Chief of Cardiology. Her badge says Chief of Cardiology. The parking space says Dr. Okonkwo. You determined nothing. You assumed everything." Foster tried one last defense. "I've only been here 2 weeks. I don't know all the doctors." "You don't need to know all the doctors. You need to read badges and parking space assignments, both of which you ignored." A tow truck pulled into the garage. Lights flashing. The driver leaned out. "Somebody call for a tow?" Vance waved him off. "False alarm. We don't need you." The driver shrugged and drove away. Vance turned back to Foster. "Go to the security office. Wait there. Don't talk to anyone. Your supervisor will deal with you." Foster started to protest, then thought better of it. He walked away without another word. Vance turned to Dr. Okonkwo. Her entire demeanor changed. Apologetic. Embarrassed. "Dr. Okonkwo, I cannot apologize enough. This should never have happened. Maya took a slow breath. Patricia, I appreciate you coming, but this isn't about one guard. This is about a system that allowed him to question me for 15 minutes while ignoring every piece of evidence that I belong here. I understand, and I promise you, this will be addressed. How? Vance hesitated. We'll terminate the guard. We'll review security protocols. Will you review the contract with the security company? Will you examine how many other staff members have experienced this? Will you make actual structural changes? I'll bring it to senior administration first thing tomorrow. Maya nodded slowly. I'm going home. I just worked 14 hours. I lost a patient tonight, and I don't have the energy to argue about whether I'm qualified to park in my own space. She got in her car, started the engine, drove out of the garage. Vance stood there, knowing that what had just happened was going to become much bigger than a parking dispute. Dr. Okonkwo didn't sleep that night. She kept replaying the encounter, the assumptions, the dismissiveness, the casual racism wrapped in security protocol. At 7 a.m., she called her attorney. By noon, St. Michael's Medical Center had received a formal complaint and notice of intent to sue. The complaint was 38 pages. It detailed the parking garage incident. It cited hospital policy on employee treatment. It referenced federal employment discrimination laws. It demanded immediate action, and it included something the hospital didn't know existed yet: the parking garage security footage. Dr. Okonkwo had requested it through proper channels that morning. As a department chief, she had authority to request security footage for incident review. The hospital had provided it, not yet understanding how it would be used. The footage showed everything. Foster approaching aggressively, Maya showing her badge multiple times, Foster examining it and dismissing it, the name on the parking space clearly visible, the entire 15-minute confrontation, and most damaging, the audio of Foster asking if she was with housekeeping. The hospital's legal team watched the footage and immediately understood the liability. They called an emergency meeting with senior administration, chief medical officer, chief operating officer, general counsel, hospital president. They watched the footage together. When it ended, nobody spoke for almost a minute. Finally, the hospital president, Dr. Richard Cartwright, broke the silence. How fast can we settle this? The general counsel, Amanda Pierce, shook her head. We can try, but Dr. Okonkwo has leverage. The footage is damaging. The discrimination is clear, and she's a department chief. This isn't going away quietly. What's she asking for? The complaint doesn't specify damages yet, but it demands policy changes, third-party review of security practices, and termination of the security contract. The entire contract? The entire contract. She wants the security company gone. Dr. Cartwright looked at the frozen image on the screen. Dr. Okonkwo standing in front of her own name, badge visible, Mercedes sedan behind her. Everything about the scene screaming physician, except for the one thing that had blinded the security guard to the obvious. Terminate Raymond Foster immediately, Cartwright said. Contact the security company and inform them we're reviewing the contract. And get me a meeting with Dr. Okonkwo. The meeting happened 2 days later. Dr. Okonkwo, her attorney, hospital administration, hospital legal team. Dr. Cartwright opened. Dr. Okonkwo, on behalf of St. Michael's, I want to apologize. What happened to you was unacceptable. Maya sat calmly, professionally. I appreciate the apology, but I need to understand what changes you're implementing. Raymond Foster has been terminated. We've suspended the security company, pending investigation. We're reviewing all security protocols. That's reactive. What are you doing proactively? We're open to your recommendation. Maya leaned forward. Terminate the contract with the security company. Their training is inadequate. Their protocols are discriminatory. They don't belong in a medical facility. The COO shifted uncomfortably. That's a significant operational change. So is losing a discrimination lawsuit. The general counsel intervened. Dr. Okonkwo, we understand your position. We'd like to discuss a settlement that addresses your concerns and compensates you appropriately. I don't want compensation. I want change. We can do both. Maya looked at her attorney. They'd discussed this. She knew the leverage she had. She knew the hospital would pay to make this disappear. But she also knew that money without structural change meant nothing. I'll settle, Maya said, on 3 conditions. 1. The security company contract is terminated within 30 days. 2. All hospital security receives mandatory implicit bias training conducted by an outside organization, not internal HR. 3. A formal apology is issued to all staff members, acknowledging that this incident represents a failure of institutional culture, not just one individual. The hospital team exchanged glances. And compensation, the general counsel asked. $2.1 million. Deposited into a fund I'm establishing for minority medical students who face discrimination in training and practice. The room went quiet. You don't want the money personally? Dr. Cartwright asked. I make $400,000 a year. I don't need more money. I need this to mean something. The hospital team asked for a recess. 15 minutes later, they came back. We accept your terms, the general counsel said. The settlement was finalized within 3 weeks. The hospital issued a public statement acknowledging the incident and announcing policy changes. The security company's contract was terminated. They sued for wrongful termination of contract. That lawsuit was settled confidentially. But industry sources said the settlement included acknowledgement of training failures. Raymond Foster never worked security again. His name became a cautionary tale in security training programs. Don't be a Raymond Foster entered the vocabulary of hospital security management. Dr. Maya Okonkwo established the Okonkwo Foundation for Medical Equity, $2.1 million, providing scholarships, legal support, and advocacy for medical students and residents facing discrimination. The story went national. Medical journals covered it. News outlets interviewed Dr. Okonkwo. She became an advocate for addressing bias in healthcare settings. She still works at St. Michael's, still Chief of Cardiology, still parks in Spot 73. But now, every security guard in that hospital knows exactly who she is. The parking space where it happened looks the same. Still says Dr. M. Okonkwo, Cardiology, still reserved, still hers. But what happened there became a symbol, a reminder that credentials don't protect you from assumptions, that expertise doesn't shield you from bias, that being the youngest department chief means nothing if someone has already decided you don't belong. Raymond Foster spent 15 minutes questioning Dr. Okonkwo's qualifications while standing in front of evidence that proved them. He ignored her badge, ignored her name on the ground, ignored her explanations, because he'd already decided. Young black woman in scrubs equals not doctor. That assumption cost his employer $2.1 million, cost him his career, cost the security company their largest contract. And it proved something Dr. Maya Okonkwo had known for years. Sometimes the most dangerous assumptions are the ones people make while claiming to follow protocol. She was a doctor parking in a doctors-only space. The sign said doctors only. She was the doctor. The irony wasn't subtle. It was glaring. But Raymond Foster couldn't see it because he wasn't looking at credentials. He was looking at skin color. And that kind of blindness doesn't protect hospitals. It exposes them. This is where the system stopped thinking. Authority without accountability doesn't maintain security. It creates liability. Assumptions without verification don't protect spaces. They violate rights. Dr. Maya Okonkwo is still saving lives, still leading her department, still parking in Spot 73. And every medical student who receives support from her foundation knows exactly why it exists. Because sometimes the cost of discrimination isn't just money. It's the trust that institutions lose when they allow bias to masquerade as protocol. $2.1 million. 15 minutes in a parking garage. One security guard who couldn't believe a black woman belonged in the doctors-only section, even when she was standing in front of her own name.